G'day, mate. We're here at the 2017 Aussie Open. This is a third round, back nine, here at the beautiful Mundaring Disc Golf Park. I'm your host, Avery Jenkins, and sitting alongside me, we traded out Barsby from the front nine to a man you might know, our 2016 world champion, Ricky Wysocki. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here, and I'm looking forward to the action.
So we got our lead card here, about to jump on the back nine, starting on hole 10. We have Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, Manabu Kajiyama, and Paul McBeth.
Yeah, we got a good versatile group. You know, it's been a while since we played with Manabu in a lead group, but it's cool to see him there. He's got great skill, and he's a very smooth thrower, which is a requirement for this course.
Hole number 10, 180 meters, 590 feet, a slight uphill flex shot for a right-handed backhand thrower, and you try to get up in this landing zone where you're trying to meet this corridor, this tunnel through the woods. Leads all the way to the basket. A nice sizable par 4 to start the back nine.
Yeah, most players are throwing driver off the tee and a mid-ranger putter on their second shot.
So just to catch you up to speed, after hole 9, Ricky took the birdie and Eagle actually bogeyed, and they flip-flopped spots 2 strokes. Ricky with the current lead by 1 stroke. And just as I said that, came out a little early, left.
Yeah, a little bit early release and hit the trees and kind of skipped on that hard pan, just barely out of bounds.
McBeth getting up and over, big flexing shot, trying to get way up that fairway to the right.
Yep, he plays the wide gap on the right, and then he decides to go over the trees on his second shot.
That seems to be a play. Eagle, same kind of direct line shot, a little more on the line, trying to get in that gap, trying to get in that tunnel to the basket. So first shot, OB. Oh.
Had a cutoff angle, and I hit the top limb and really just got unfortunate to go back out of bounds.
Not too many players land over in that spot, yet a player that has the ability to try to go over those trees, and you were tempted by that second shot over.
Yeah, out of position and really paid for it. Here's Paul going over the top, and he kind of got a bad bounce off of the top of the trees. And that's what you get sometimes when you're throwing over the trees like that. You don't know what bounce you're going to get.
Manabu forehand shot, pointed a little inside left.
Here's Eagle with the jump putt. He's been throwing such far drives on these par 4s that he has got just a long jump putter or a soft putter to the basket. So here's me after 2 out of bounds, trying to save a double bogey.
Oh, nearly did. Off the top, off the band. Paul McBeth low. Again, he's had a lot of looks outside the circle this round.
That green's tricky with all the bush cover. If you're off the green, you're not going to have a putt.
Huge putt from the knee, from the middle of the fairway. That's outside the circle, knocking it down.
That was a nice putt. He took advantage of the mistake and really got the lead by a few strokes again. Flip-flopping.
Wow, it's just been a battle all week. Watch that second round where you shot the 17, he shot the 16. You guys are just trading off stroke after stroke on each of these holes. And then the battle continues third round. Not very happy tapping out that 7, moving on to the next one. Just trying to get this hole over with.
Yep. Tough hole, lost a little focus, and like you said, you get in the lead, you get a little excited, and if you don't focus even more after the lead, that's what's going to happen. So you learn from it.
Always thrown Innova and competed with Innova. I don't think I'd be playing this sport if it wasn't for creating the disc itself and then just taking it to the next level over and over and over again. How great the discs are themselves. It's really gained my trust, and I don't think I would be here without Innova. I don't see myself doing anything else.
Here we are on hole number 11, 185 meters, 607 feet, par 4. That goes out into the fairway left and then curves back to the right. You see that OB line, that whole entire area short right is out of bounds, and there's also an OB area long left by the golf green out of bounds. So a pretty wide open hole, a very tackable hole if you have the arm for it. What's your play on this?
You know, I'm just throwing a fairway driver, and I'm trying to just go, you know, pretty straight and a little bit left. If I hyzer in the woods, you know, it's still a tough shot, but it's playable.
Now, what happened here? You went cut roller somehow for some reason. Now, is that OB back there?
You know, it was we had a discrepancy. We didn't really know if it was out of bounds or not, but I think he was trying to reach the pin. I think a roller, if you hit the right angle on it, you can reach it.
Manabu just throwing a nice control shot to the middle cut of the fairway, leaving a very easy second shot to the basket.
That's what he does best. He's smooth and in control, and he's a lot of times in position.
McBeth getting up on one. Big turnover, flex, destroyer.
He's taking the right side OB out of play and actually challenges that back line, but he's got a good easy in for 3. And I'm just throwing a fairway driver, playing it low, playing the skip.
Now, just from watching the front nine, you're taking a lot slower discs out here. You know, a lot of times where someone might be throwing a fairway driver, you're throwing a mid-range, or they're throwing a fairway driver, you might be throwing a long-distance driver, kind of switching things up a little bit.
Yep, you know, like I was saying in the interviews, I'm throwing a lot of, fairway drivers and mid-ranges off the tee when these guys are throwing drivers, just to play the control and play the skips.
Oh, the only tree you have to miss. Manabu catches it on the approach.
Yeah, that's the kind of tree that if you're a player, you want to throw either left or right of it, and sometimes you convince yourself you're going to throw right at it, and you hit it. I'm not saying that's what he did, but sometimes that happens.
So what happened here with Eagle's roller? It went long, but it went around the line. Was that OB or?
Yeah, you know, it was a line. I think there was a line discrepancy. It looked like it was a type of situation that should have been out of bounds, but the rule was the line wasn't really properly marked, and he picked up his disc before we could all actually see where his disc was. So if he would have left his disc, I think we might have actually changed the ruling. So,
but he was out of bounds at that point with that call.
Yep. And so we had a little discrepancy. So now we're all tapping in. I think Manabu's the only one that got a par. He unfortunately hit the one guardian tree coming in on the upshot.
As they clean it up on here on hole number 11. We got birdies for Ricky and Paul. Eagle with the OB4, and Manabu catching that tree late on the approach, and the putt off the top for a par as well. Hole number 12, 255 meters, 837 feet. Par 4, dog leg through the tunnel to the right, and then down the hill. OB everywhere, right, long, left, short left with that green there, and a very incredibly fast disc golf green.
Yeah, you know, this is the hardest hole from start to finish on the course. Very tough hole. You got to get through the gap. Looks like Paul hits the guardian tree. It's a tough shot. That's one of the trees you have to miss through the fairway to get to the opening.
Now, forehand shot being a great option just because you get out the gap and then finishing to the right. But it really just counts on getting out the gap first off. You and Paul kind of struggling on those tee shots. And then Eagle taking them very unconventional way. The Simon Lizotte route, as we call it, over the top, big flex shot, turnover.
Yep, he's been throwing it all week.
Wow.
Great shot. He has that shot dialed, so he's very high percentage with it. It's fun to watch.
Lead card.
Manabu with the sidearm. It's got out into the wide part of the fairway, and he got a nice skip going towards the good landing zone.
Guys playing some nice aggressive shots, just trying to get out there and line up that second shot to the basket. Like I said, it's very dangerous. A lot of OB, a lot of chance to throw a shot out of bounds. McBeth struggling here, catching tree after tree.
Yeah, it's tough when you hit an early tree like he did to even save 4. That's how hard the hole is. If you don't get out the gap, I got far enough out the gap to where I was just pitching up for a 4. Paul hit early, so it was going to be a tough hole to get a 4 on.
You guys were, you and Eagle both carded birdies on this when you're on the whole battle pace of 16 and 17. Make it look pretty easy. Actually, there's only 3 birdies on this hole for the weekend, being you, Eagle, and Paul.
Yeah, you know, it's for good reason. The hole was really tough. You got to throw a great drive, a great upshot, and, you know, you got to play the skip. And, you know, like you said, there's green left, OB right, and, you know, the wind is a big factor also. Manabu hangs his sidearm a little wide. Looks like he's going around the green and gets a nice roll, actually. So it looks like he might have a 20 to 30 meter putt for a birdie.
Here's Eagle caught right side. A little soft putter approach out. And just enough to stay safe, not too far to even challenge that OB line on the green.
Yeah.
Giving it a bid. Giving it a bid for birdie.
Yeah, it was a long bid. Me and Eagle both just laid up. We were kind of out of position, so you really have to be in position to even have a chance to go for the green here, with how narrow it is. Paul actually stayed safe there, so this is his four look after he hit early.
Manabu backside of the green, giving it a valiant effort for a long outside the circle putt, left it low. Paul getting back on track, knocking that one down. Par's a good score on this hole.
Yeah, par is, if you're, like I said, if you're getting par every round, I think you'd be overall happy. Obviously, the birdie is there, but it just depends on the conditions.
Everybody making their way through hole 12. Lead card. Eagle, Ricky, and Manabu all going par. McBeth going the bogey on hole number 12. Hole number 13. 80 meters, 262 feet. Par 3 uphill, OB left side along the tree line the entire way. I'm going to say it's the easiest hole on the course.
Yep, it's just a hole. You don't want to force anything. You just want to take a nice overstable disc if you're a righty and just play the skip that this course gives you. So that's exactly what most of these players are going to be doing. Low skip shot with a driver or mid-range.
Making easy work, putting it wrapping around the basket. Bullseye hit for Ricky.
Looks like Eagle's throwing a gator. Just a nice skippy disc and just puts it about 20 feet right, just where you want to be.
So this is the point of the course where I noticed it seemed like it heated up the most. It was the most exposed out in the open. And it's one thing you really can't tell by the video, but how hot is it right now?
It's hot. I mean, these, like you said, these holes, there's not much tree cover. They're mostly fairways that are pretty open, and the trees are on the sides of the fairway where the OB is. So that's obviously somewhere you don't want to be. So the spot where you want to be is pretty heated. So, when you're not throwing, you're definitely spending time in the shade waiting for other people to throw.
105 degrees out, cooking, baking. It's dry heat, so you're not sweating too much. But is this the hottest disc golf you ever played?
I think it's close to it. I think it's about like the Midwest in the heat of the summer. I think it's pretty close to the hottest.
You're waiting just to drop this head knocker in.
Mm-hmm.
Lead card making easy work of this hole. Eagle, Ricky, and Paul with birdies. Manabu taking the lone par. Eagle still with a 2-stroke lead over Ricky. Hole number 14, 235, 771 feet, downhill, par 4, OB right, OB left, OB long, and an OB green just short left of the basket. It's a tough hole. It seems like just for distance-wise, it's a longer par 4, but it's downhill, so you get to carry it a little longer, but there's OB everywhere.
Yep. I tried to throw a driver on the right-hand side, and I actually caught one of those trees. You want to play it pretty wide because you get a pretty big skip. So I ended up hitting those trees, pushed it a little bit too wide. Eagle takes a fairway driver, more direct route, takes those trees out of play and throws right down the middle, right where you want to be.
Because you're talking about you throw it down the middle, and if your disc has any kind of angle on it, it's going left.
Yep.
I've seen them go from 60, 70, even 80 foot skips.
Yep, and that's in your head. That's why it's you almost overcorrect it. And Paul got a nice checkup because he threw a fairway driver. But when I was throwing, I just I knew that you can get a huge skip, so that's why I just psyched myself out. Here's Manabu throws a
Kind of following your line a little wide to the right, hoping it comes back in front of those trees, and does.
Yep, he threw a little bit of a slower disc than I did, so he got in front of those trees, and a great shot by Manabu.
So caught right side, going forehand, going right at the pin.
Yep, I had to try and save a par or bogey after that, and got a no skip off the green. You know, it's tough to gauge those greens. They're sandy, so you don't really know if you're going to get a skip or not. Here's Manabu throwing a fairway driver on his second shot.
Same thing, following you right into the green.
That hill right there, if people are trying to skip off of that hill and go forward, and you just go straight up and don't go anywhere. Paul looks like he does the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a magnet right now. Everybody's drawing right to the center of that golf green.
Eagle corrects from all of us and looks like he throws around it and throws a great shot about 20 feet away. Yeah,
It's tough to gauge the distance from there, especially from the fairway. It's really hard to see. It's a downhill shot. It's over a very treacherous OB area, and hard to get that distance to gauge it.
It is, yep. And Paul's trying to save it and just misses left.
You throw too short, your OB. Throw too long, your OB. It's about hitting that exact distance and trying to read it.
Yeah, it's a tricky hole. Like I said, those guys were hitting that hill right next to the green and thinking they're going to go forward, and just got a kind of a dud skip and just kind of went straight up and landed on the green. Pretty unfortunate.
So Paul tapping in bogey. Eagle making the correction on the second shot, tapping in birdie.
Once again, Eagle was farthest down the fairway, and you know he got rewarded. He had the shortest upshot and probably the easiest distance to gauge. So I think that's why he got the better score.
Can't take these holes for granted.
Nope.
You know, they're longer holes, but there's fast greens and OB everywhere.
Eagle's game plan is, you know, he's so successful because he's taking the aggression out on the drive. So you gotta decide whether you want to be aggressive on the drive or the upshot or a little bit of both. But he's taking the aggression on the drive and it's really paying off for him. He's putting in good positions and has got really high percentage upshots to capitalize on a lot of the birdies he's getting.
Hole number 15, 120 meters, 394 feet, a slight downhill par 3, OB left down the entire tree line around the basket, and then even finishing to the right. So you really got to throw a drive out there that skips back in bounds and back at the basket.
Yep, Eagle's been throwing a nice big rim driver to get a huge skip. He's been doing it all week. Gets the 3-4 skips and the roll. He got kind of stopped up by that hill a little bit. There's a hill right there that, you know, it can kind of get you. You want to go just past it, but you don't want to go too far past it. Otherwise, you'll skip too far left.
Yeah, you're referring to that ridge line right there in the middle of fairway. It comes into play, you know, a lot with these drives coming in. Mm-hmm. If they come in short or come in long, like his just went over the top of that ridge line and skipped way left. Mm-hmm. Whether if you're out wide right of that ridge line, it'll probably stop you and barely skip at all.
Yep. So that's what makes this hole tough, is that small ridge line really messes with you. And Manabu hit it, just slow it down. So that's another good thing about it. You can play the hill, and if you hit it, it slows down the skip, so you don't skip so far left.
What are you going here? Mid-range, fairway driver?
I go fairway driver, nice and low, and just play the skip. And I also hit that hill, as you saw Manabu did, and I think that's why we checked up. Eagle hit it too early and checked up too early, and Paul hit it just after it and didn't check up at all.
Eagle miscalculating on that putt, nearly missing left side. Paul knocking it down from backside of the green.
Yep, that was a good putt after his drive skipped away just a little bit more.
Whoa.
Snuck in there.
A little rail grind on the backside of the rim. That can happen sometimes, I guess. When you kind of take it for granted, you're kind of going down there, you got a birdie putt, you missed the birdie putt, but no problem, you're going to get this par putt.
Right.
And kind of splashes out right side low.
Sure, he was frustrated for missing the first one and, you know, kind of maybe let it slip into the second putt. You know, it's happened to all of us. Hate to see it. And, you know, it's also a putt that could have stuck. You know, it wasn't, you know, it was the right side, but it was, you know, had a chance to stick.
And Manabu just cruising along. Making it look easy. Drop in for Eagle for bogey.
Yeah, Manabu's been playing solid all week. It's good to see him coming along, playing well this week. Like you said, he's a smooth player. He's not going to do anything too dramatic either way, good or bad. He's just solid overall.
Hole number 16, 375 meters, 1,230 feet. The big dog, the par 5, the longest hole on the course. Not a whole lot of danger on the big tee shot. It's really just really about distance on this hole. And you can't even see the basket even after the first shot. What's your play on this?
For me, I'm throwing two rollers or one roller off the tee, and possibly a second based on my positioning. But yeah, I like the roller, lands right, and then you got to set up for the second shot.
Now, what I heard from 2 years ago, they used to have OB line down the whole left side of that wood line there, where Paul just went out, and it would have been out of bounds. Now it's all fair, all game. You can throw from there, no penalty stroke.
Yeah, I think that's why the players are deciding to throw rollers and all kinds of big air shots now, is because the OB is not in play anymore. If you go in the woods, you can still have a second shot.
Man, that's a huge change as far as trying to play aggressive on this hole. A lot of players that get the flex out, or if a roller doesn't stand up, they're going left. And if you're taking the OB stroke that early in the hole, you're going to be working because you got a long ways to go to that basket.
Yep, I threw a roller on this one outside of the tree this time just because there was a wind carrying him to the right, so I didn't want to carry too far right. Eagle's throwing the down the middle roller. Looks like he's standing up a little bit too much. There was a left to right wind on this one that was carrying the rollers to the right, and he carries a little bit right. He's not too far in the bushes. He'll still have a second shot, but it's going to be a little limited with the bushes.
So you're trying to line up a second shot, but you hope your first shot's at least in the center cut of the fairway, lining up a good shot so you can get a little farther down the fairway for the second one. If you get caught off on the edges, you're going to be, like you said, limited to how much distance you can bite off on this next one.
Yeah, you really want to get as far as you can down there to make the upshot to this tricky green as easy as possible. So I threw a fairway driver I threw it pretty hard to get as far down there as I could. I hyzed it out a little left, and I hit that hill and stopped me from skipping, which is pretty fortunate. Eagle goes roller, roller.
Wow.
Good play. Looks like he's going to be in decent position to make a good third shot for a setup for a birdie. Looks like Paul's trying to attack the pin on this hole, and he was not really in the best positioning. He had those three guardian trees, and looks like he got away from him on this shot.
So OB line starts down here by 17's tee and extends all the way down the left side, all the way around the basket, and then back up on the right side. So there's no OB at the first shot, but OB starts coming into play on the second shot on this fairway.
Eagle threw a putter, kind of got some slide. It's a pretty downhill shot with the hard pan. It's going to slide.
Now I'm looking at this course right now, how different it is being hot, being dry, being very fast. We know now that Sunday, we've been looking at the forecast, Sunday looks like it's going to be a rainy one, a wet one, depending on how much, rain and water this ground can take. It's really going to change conditions and how this whole course plays.
Yeah, instead of hard pan, it's going to be mud, so you don't know if you're going to get a skip or, like we have been, or just kind of stop where your disc hits. So it's going to be interesting to see how the conditions play out.
Here's Paul, backside green, leaving a little low. A little later round, very hot round, very exhausting round mentally, physically.
Yep, I was
about staying focused there.
Yep, that's what it is coming down the stretch. I was putting my hat backwards just to keep the sun from hitting my neck. It was really baking my neck, so I was really just trying to get some relief from that.
Where else in the world is this hot right now, and trying to play disc golf at the first PDGA Major event of the year in the sweltering heat of Australia. Eagle knocking it down. Roller, up shot and in for the birdie. Manabu from in the circle.
For birdie, and you got it. Looks like we got 3 out of 4 birdies on this hole, which is pretty solid.
Eagle, Ricky, and Manabu scoring birdie. Paul, unfortunately, with the bogey 6. Hole number 17, 120 meters, 394 feet, a slight downhill par 3, and it's got a very tight green for the fact that creek, or that little culvert short of the basket, is out of bounds, and there's out of bounds to the left. So you're really trying to fire a shot down here, trying to hit the back side of the hill and stay. Don't skip.
Yeah, most players are going to be throwing fairway driver or mid-range. Looks like Manabu elected to go fairway driver. He skips and he gets caught up in the bush there, but I think he's close enough to where he can make a decent look at it.
Now there's a hole where you rang it up off the top of the band en route to your 17 under second round. A little higher that time, trying to give it a bid, trying to give it a run.
Yep, I hyzered off also, except I went farther in the bushes than Manabu did, so I'm going to have a pretty tricky putt, looks like.
Eagle going mid-range, wide, right, looking for the skip.
He got a little too much skip, looks like. So, he threw mid-range. He's a little long, so he's going to have a tricky putt towards the OB. But he is safe off the tee, which is definitely a must.
Here's Paul going fairway driver, kind of following Manabu going early left side. There's enough bushes out there to stop you. Hopefully it keeps you on that basket side of the bush.
That's the thing. Yep, Eagle lays up. It was a tough putt. Looks like he had some limbs there on the right to deal with. I had a big tree here, so I had a tougher putt. Yep. Missed it left. I had some bushes on the right, so it was tough to get the putt over there. Manabu works a nice putt out of the bushes.
Just cruising along as he does.
Yeah, he's a great player, very fun to watch, and he's got great form.
Paul McBeth, inside the circle putt, dead center and in.
Yep, those shots were definitely left. Like all of us were over there in that same spot, and you can kind of bank on the bushes there, kind of stopping your shot. It's just, it's a pretty safe spot to be. You're pretty close to the pin over there, and sometimes you have a putt, sometimes you don't. That's what you get when you go over there. And I didn't have a putt. Me and Eagle take the pars, and Manabu, Paul looks like they took the birdies, made the putt from the bushes over there on the left.
Our final hole, hole number 18, 95 meters, 312 feet, a slight uphill finishing hole to an island green. It says 312. I'm saying it plays a little longer than that just because the uphill and the green's really tight to that left side. If anything hyzers off to the left or gets that fan skip left, you're more than likely OB.
Yeah, it's a tough shot. You really got to play the skip and know exactly what it's going to be doing up there. Manabu looks like he throws a little high, and he landed out of bounds, which means he's definitely going to skip. So he looks like that got away from him, and the wind kind of exaggerated that shot to the left.
Paul McBeth, hyzer. Same thing, following Manabu, playing it a little tight.
Yep.
Gets that skip, out of bounds left.
I learned from their shots. I threw it a little bit lower and really just try to play the skip and almost skip too much, but I got a little bit of a checkup and was lucky enough to be safe.
It's always nice to be playing with players that are throwing similar shots so you can get those reads.
Exactly.
Especially if they're on the tee first, you get to watch the wind, the bounce, the drag, the skip. Eagle making up for his shot on the second round where he threw that same disc a little long, leaving him kind of a tester putt to finish the round. This time puts it in the bullseye.
Yep, Manabu and Paul are at the drop zone here. It's about a 80 or 90 foot putt.
Whoa, giving it a chance.
Gives it a run, trying to save that par.
Eagle tapping out, just trying to get this round over with. Kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Everybody let him kind of go ahead. You jam it dead center, no problem.
It was like the roles were reversed there. Instead of him putting like I did, like we did on the second round, I was putting. So it was kind of cool to see I had to make the putt to tie him on the round.
Manabu tapping out, bogey, same as Paul. And Eagle and Rick dropping birdies to go 7 down on the round. And Eagle with a 3-stroke lead after 3 rounds. That was a battle. You guys were kind of trading off the lead back and forth, coming down to green hits. You had a high green hit percentage. Over 2/3 of the course, you're hitting greens. Bullseyes, a Across the board, you, Paul, and Manabu all at 17% bullseye hits. Inside the circle putting, it always comes down to this. You are perfect inside the circle at 100%. Outside the circle putts, Paul was ranging. I believe he had all 3 of those outside the circle putts on the front 9. Penalties. It's always you gain your strokes on your birdies, you give them back on your penalties. Rick, unfortunately, with 4 OB penalties. McBeth with 3. Eagle McMahon with a 3-stroke lead. And it's you two. It's 2-horse race at this point. You guys are battling out. You have a substantial lead over third, being Paul McBeth. But who knows? What time will tell. Going into the 4th round, possibly in the rain. Best of luck to you, Rick. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Looking forward to the action.